What's up, everybody? Welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to look at how to make really good bass. We're going to look at 3 different beats. This one and this one and this one. And we're going to make cool beats to these 3 beats. Cool bass to these 3 beats. Yeah, it's gonna be awesome. If you want to learn more about K-pop music, I invite you to join our Discord group called Umzik Music Community, and this is where you're going to learn all about K-pop music, and you're gonna have tons of people who are going to help you, and these people are amazing mentors, instructors, and producers in K-pop music field right now. So yeah, check out the description below. Shall we get started? Number 1, we're going to look at this song. As you can hear, the melody is very R&B and the beat is very trap. And now we have to choose the bass. What would you do for this kind of bass? Well, I would do something like this. Are you ready? Something like that, right? And what did I use? Is this plugin called Sublab. And when it comes to making bass for sounds like these, it's gonna require something very sustaining. What does that mean? Something that stays long. Until you remove it, it's gonna stay up there. But not only does it have to stay long, it has to have a very deep bass sub. So it's good to use a very subby bass. And there are many plugins that's going to help you to do that, including your stock plugin from wherever you're working at in your DAW. But this is one of my favorite plugin to do this kind of song. And for example, right now I chose the Triangle Moog sub, and this one allows you to do a lot of things. For example, I can do pitch up and down, which is very helpful, especially when I'm doing K-pop music. And you can also adjust the mod right here. I can do short release or long release. And it also gives you the glide option where you can go. You see that? And you can adjust the glide time. Yeah. I love messing around with this. And you can also decide where you want to. Yeah, if you want to make it a little more dirty, if you want to make it more clean. Distortion level. So it gives you a lot of flexibility options. So I like to do that. And what else do? You have to follow the chorus whenever you have a beat like this, because this has a chord progression to it already, going bam, bam, bam. So for me, I would basically follow that line. Or I can go lower. And songs like these, it's cool to do like a lot of movements, but of course you have to be careful. For example, you see that? So I can adjust it with my pitch bend. Or I can play it differently. I can play it in different octaves, you know? So shall we record that part right here? Whoa, I missed it. 3, 4. Yeah, so that's for my track number 1. When it comes to R&B, it's good to do this kind of sustainy, moog, bassy stuff, and I highly recommend Sublab, or actually plugins like Trillion would work, but also like Serum, any kind of bass that has a moog type of bass, even a lab. Analog Labs is gonna have that function as well. Okay, let's look at the second beat, and this one's gonna be very wild. So whenever you hear this kind of beat, you have to first determine what kind of genre is this. Well, this is kind of like hyper pop, like, you know, hint of EDM, kind of like dubsteppy, you know, it's got that all that electronic elements, and it sounds really like cool, right? And very digital, very future, very like aespa friendly. Well, what would you do? I would do something like this. So what did I just do? First of all, the texture is so important whenever it comes to making a bass like this. So I chose this preset right here. And it's got really weird distortion grit to it. And it stops like right when I release it. So the release has to be really short. And there's a lot of distortion. Without this distortion, it will sound like this. But I'm adding this distortion and makes it sound like this. And it can even distort even more if I wanted to. But I don't want to hurt my ear. And I can even cut it if I want to. But in sounds like these, it's important to sound very digital. So actually, I'm not going to cut that much. Instead, I'm just going to keep it like that. And instead of moving too much, like I'll try to keep something very simple. That's why I kept it very simple, and I went like. One of the reasons why I also chose to play that way is because when you hear the beat in itself, do you hear that first line? One more time. You hear that? Right here? So it has that and that already kind of has a bass. So I don't want to interrupt that bass. So instead of me playing that section, I'm letting that bass from the loop do his thing, and then I'm stepping in with my own bass. So shall we record that? Yeah, and once you have something like this, what you can also do is mess around with the pitch. Here we go. That made it way more interesting now that I've added the the pitch bend, right? But let me show you something. What if I didn't have this preset and I had something else? For example, what if I were to work with this bass that sounds like this? Are you ready to hear that? Here we go. I'm going to transpose it. It's okay, but it's just not sounding perfect. And not quite sounding the way I'm imagining. What if I do something like, oh yeah, this is a nice bass sound, right? So let's try this. How would we sound with this preset? It's not quite working very well. Why? Because this beat, this track is giving me a lot of this digital future elements, but this 808 is just not cutting through the mix because it's lacking that high end. That's why picking the right presets or making the best bass you can is very important. Some bass that will feel right. Oh, I know that this is gonna work just by playing around with the notes. So let's try it one more time. See, I already know that it works. What if I went with this? That might work. No, because it's just lacking that high end. This one's the one that I chose, which I know that it works. And this one's not gonna work either. So it's very important to know and understand what kind of genre requires what kind of bass. And in this case, it's gonna require this kind of sound. By the way, these presets are available for you to purchase. It's in the description down below. It's 100 presets that I made for K-pop style of bass, like this. Yeah, and Serum is actually a really, really good what is it? Synth that you can use for bass. A lot of people don't use it for bass, but I do a lot. It's a really, really good soft synth for this kind of bass. All right, moving on. Here's the third track. Very different style, right? It's kind of like urban hip hop. So what kind of bass would you use for this? And what kind of bass works for this? For me, I'm gonna go with, ooh. I already have this bass picked, and I'll show you why. That sounds good. Okay, I'm gonna record that. 2, 3, 4. So I think I really like that pattern. By the way, I'm just coming up with these patterns on the fly. So sometimes like I miss. And I'm like, why did I come up with that on YouTube? But this one's pretty good. I like this one. Okay, so let me show you what's going on. First of all, what kind of sound am I using? Well, I'm actually world of trouble today with this. I'm actually using a sampler. And what is a sampler? Sampler is basically you can just drop whatever sample, and from there I can just play from this sample. And I usually, when I drop the sample, I want to make sure that I modulate it so that it's exactly the way I want to. Usually I have to cut the tails like this. to make my release shorter. In K-pop, you want to make your release short. Why? Because in K-pop we dance, so everything has to be like poppy, like chop chop chop, you know. So that's why it's important to cut the bass like that. So once again, so what is this? This is basically an 808 sound. What kind of 808 sound am I using? Well, I'm actually using this 808 sound right here from Decap. And what is my loop? It's actually also from Decap. So here's one of my tricks that I would recommend to you guys. Whenever you have a loop that you're using from a pack or something, try to use their set of 808 sounds. And actually, a lot of times, their sound goes well with the loop that you dragged, because they're most likely going to have similar processing, similar style, similar genre. So for me, I dropped from here because my loop was also from here, and it turns out that it sounds really good, right? Right. But let's see, what if I were to have the exact same thing and I play with a different bass? For example, what if I use this bass here? I'm gonna transpose it. Even more, minus 24. You see how it's so bad? So here, this bass worked perfectly fine. But when I use the same bass here, it's not good. But if I use this bass here, it works amazing. So these sounds are incredibly important to know what kind of sound works for what kind of beat. And that only you can develop as you practice, as you try different things, as you listen to different songs, as you just try different things out and see what works. I want to give you one more tip. When you're working with a bass sound like this, especially when it comes to K-pop, you're gonna want to have a sound that really cuts through the mix, and it makes a really, how do I say, very modern, trendy type of bass sound. So I wouldn't just use this 808 as it is. I would make some tweaks. For example, what I would do is add like a distortion. And when I distort it, one of the trick that I use is I don't distort as much on the lower end, which is around here or here. I just like to distort around here. Not even the top end. I don't like to distort over 5K as much. So around here is when I want to distort. And right here, I'm going to put distortion. And I'm going to apply some distortion. See how it's like it became brighter, but it didn't sound annoying in a very digital way. So I'm only applying the distortion right here. Without it, sounds like this. But with my distortion, oh yeah. See, we just went from like a Western hip hop to very like NCT type hip hop, right? And that's how you do it. You have to apply distortion. But not only that, there's so many ways you can do it. For example, if I'm using Saturn, again, I want to apply bass distortion right around here. And I'm going to apply some warm tape. And here we go. Right here. Yeah, it's a little more natural sounding versus this one. It's a little more cutting edge, right? Cutting through. Not only that, guys, like, don't think that you only have to use expensive plugins. What if I just use stock plugins, you know? Distortion. Right here from Steinberg. This is a Steinberg distortion. Ooh, that sounds good. So what you have to do, I often just compare and see what works best. I'm like, okay, option 1, and then I'm like option 2, and then I'm like option 3. And I have to determine, okay, I think I'm gonna go with option 1, and maybe even adding the 2 together and see what works. You know, don't be afraid to add multiple. But you realize as soon as I applied this, the top end is sounding good, but I'm lacking the low end. Why? Because I'm actually distorting the entire thing. So my bottom, the sub end, is also being distorted and it's not sounding as clean. So that's one of the things you need to watch out when you are working with bass and when you're distorting. Alrighty, guys, I think that was it. Please join my Discord community if you want to learn more about K-pop. You're gonna have awesome, super producers from the industry who are going to teach you master classes, but also there are like tons of people that you can collaborate with, you can connect with, and we have song challenges every single week, and good songs get picked up to pitch to K-pop labels. Yeah, it's a wonderful place to be if you want to learn more about K-pop, and it's 60-day money back guarantee, so there's no risk involved on your end. Alrighty, guys, if you like this video, please subscribe, thumbs up, like, share, and comment, and all that. I'll see you guys next time. Peace out, guys.